Let me start by the financing of the project. My letter of April 29th to Governor Granholm stated that Canada was prepared to increase its financial participation in the project by up to $550 million to cover the cost of the project components in Michigan that would not be funded by the private sector or the federal government of the United States. I'd like to clarify two things with respect to Canada's offer. First, the funding is not a loan, but increased equity in the project that will be repaid solely from future toll revenues. This funding will be provided directly to the Bridge Authority to be established jointly by Canada and the State of Michigan. As such, Canada will be repaid by the Bridge Authority from future toll revenues. As the funding is not a loan, neither Michigan nor Michigan taxpayers will have any obligation to repay the Government of Canada. Canada's funds will be dedicated exclusively to project components on the U.S. side. The Bridge Authority will use the funds to acquire property and to pay for the selected private sector partner to construct the project and subsequently to operate and to maintain the crossing. You may have heard that the availability payments could be made to the private sector concessionaire. While the specific nature of the transaction is yet to be determined, under such an approach, payments to the private sector concessionaire will be based on the concessionaire's performance in constructing, operating, and as well maintaining the bridge as an asset available for public use. Payments to the private sector concessionaire would not be tied to revenues. Simply, the Bridge Authority would have fixed payments to the private sector concessionaire and to cover construction, financing, and operation and maintenance costs for the duration of the concession period, which could range from some 30 to even as high as 50 years. The revenues generated from the collection of tolls would remain with the Bridge Authority. The toll revenues and the demand or usage risk would rest with the authority. This means that the Bridge Authority would enjoy the financial upside when toll revenues exceed the availability payments, and conversely would be responsible for covering any shortfalls between toll revenues and availability payments. As I noted earlier, Canada will provide up to $550 million to the Bridge Authority, and it will be responsible for covering any shortfalls between toll revenues and availability payments. Let me be perfectly clear, since Michigan will not be funding this project, Michigan taxpayers will bear no risks in this transaction. I should also clarify that the toll revenues will first be used to repay the private sector concessionaire for its capital, for its financing, and for its operating costs, and subsequently to repay Canada's increased equity. Only after these payments are completed would any excess revenues flow to the two project partners, Canada and Michigan. It is our strong belief that this project is financially viable over the long term, and that is why Canada has made this important offer.